It's a new day, it's a new week, but we're still talking the same thing that makes you smile. That's being Alabama football. You're locked and loaded onto the hottest show on the streets, the #1 form of Crimson2go football news, notes, information that you will not find anywhere else. That being in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming to you from Tuscaloosa, streaming this to you via YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, drop a like on the show, give a thumbs up, but most importantly, hit that subscribe button and turn on all of those notifications so that you can have the best news, notes, alerts, updates on your favorite program, that being the University of Alabama. It is because of you, the passionate, the joyous Alabama football fan. We're over 9,000 subscribers strong on the channel, so definitely want to continue to encourage you to help us grow the network. But today, a lot to get into, a lot to talk about. We want you being part of the conversation, and we start things off by saying what's up to the other man in the room, the better half of the show, the man putting that flavor in your ears every time we do this. That's John Ivory. John, what's going on?
What's going on, everybody? Happy to be here on a Monday. We got a great show lined up. Make sure y'all share the show and like the chat up with your comments, and let's get it.
Let's get it popping indeed, and we want you being a part of the conversation, and you can do this by calling 205-448-1358, that number right there, 205-448-1358, and one more time in case you didn't hear me, 205-448-1358. You can even text with that number, leave a voicemail with that number. We want to hear from you, your thoughts, your viewpoints. What are you feeling when it comes to Crimson Tide football? But we jump things into the first topic of conversation here, folks, and it's, why should fans, or should Alabama fans, should you guys be able to trust Pete Golding at defensive coordinator and trust this defense for the 2020 season? And for a lot of you Tide fans out here, the idea is, if I was to go to Las Vegas, right, or if I was to go to Biloxi, Mississippi, I'm not the gambling type, but let's just say, I went there and I'm playing the slot machine, right? Do I have enough trust and enough faith in Pete Golding and this defense to play the slot machine and this group can get me to a national championship? Or if I'm feeling even more frisky and I try to go over there and play the crap table over there, and I'm trying to roll 7-11 or whatever the big numbers are nowadays, and do I feel like I can trust, or do you as the fan base feel like you can trust Pete Golding and this Alabama defense enough to where if you were to play the crab table and you're rolling and you're feeling hot, do you feel like you can hit 7-11 every time, with this Alabama defense? And the reason why a lot of you are asking these questions is, you go back and you look at the last two seasons, 2018, where Alabama wins the SEC championship. It gets to the college football playoff. It takes on Clemson in the national championship game against a freshman quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, a freshman wide receiver in one Justin Ross, and Alabama was not able to get the consistent pass rush to the quarterback, which is the reason why, Trevor Lawrence had a field day throwing the football. And then, of course, this past season where, Alabama not able to beat LSU, not able to beat Auburn, does not win the SEC title, misses out on the college football playoff for the first time since 2014, doesn't win or doesn't even compete for a national championship. And even though injuries played a huge role in that, the last 2 years really bothered, really angered, really upset, Alabama fans. So you guys wonder, can we trust, should we trust Pete Golding? Should we trust this defense in it, getting us back to the national championship and winning it? And I'm going to tackle the first part of this question in Pete Golding first, because two of the guys that people have great respect for as one point in time coordinators at Alabama, that would be Kirby Smart and Jeremy Pruitt. People have great respect for those two individuals, those two men, as they're now head coaches in the conference. Both of these two did not win national championships in their first season under the main, tag of defensive play caller or defensive schemer or defensive coordinator. They did not win a national championship in their first season. The first season for Kirby Smart was 2008. He didn't get one. The first season for Jeremy Pruitt was 2016. He did not get one. Despite how great the 2016 defense was, by the way. But both guys, year 2 was the charm for them. Year 2 in 2009 for Kirby Smart, national championship. Year 2 for Jeremy Pruitt, 2017, national championship. So Pete Golding is in some pretty darn good company right now, because 2018, though that was his first year at Alabama, he was the co-DC. He shared things with Tosh Lupoy. Last year was his first year as the primary play caller. This is about to be, year 2 for him. So Golding's in pretty good company now. But in terms of the second part of this question, can you trust this Alabama defense in terms of the players on the field? I'm going to go at that, like this. And how when Alabama's had players to go off to the NFL draft or leave because of graduation, and you as the fans, you kind of look at everybody leaving, you're going, oh man, he gone? We're losing him? We just saw Tiny Tim have a great year. He leaving us? Lil Mo with the gimpy leg, he finally was able to turn up and now he gone? We losing Big Mike over here? Like, the cupboard's bare. Like, what the heck is going on? Like, you lose players to the draft, you lose players to graduation. And I remember between the years of 2016 and the 2016 to 2018 draft, Alabama lost 18 players to the league. And, these were the players where you had a lot of stock in. These were the Reuben Fosters, the Reggie Raglins, the Ashawn Robinsons, the Jaron Reeds, the Jonathan Allens, the Tim Williams, the Ryan Andersons, the Eddie Jacksons, the Minka Fitzpatricks, all of these guys that had, weight on their names that you trusted, that you depended on, that you relied on. And when they all started leaving back and forth, you're like, man, I hate he gone. I would love to have another year with him. I would love for Bama to have another year with him. I would love for Bama to have another year with that player and that player. And, you looked around and it was like that scene from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will Smith walks in the house and he looks around and everything's gone. And Will is completely depressed as he looks around and everything's gone. That's how it would typically be in terms of Alabama football when you lose so many guys to the draft. And of course you would have some fans go, well, don't feel bad, don't be upset, don't worry about it. Alabama's got the next 4-star, the next 5-star waiting in the wings. They're just ready to go in the game and take over and replace that guy. And you have other fans going, well, can he do what Jonathan Allen did? Well, can he do what Deron Payne did? Well, can he do what that guy did? I mean, let's not make it seem like the guys that left were just chopped liver. Those guys that left were marquee guys. Can these players that you're talking about do the same things that the players that left this program did? But when you look at this past Alabama team, you're not seeing a whole lot of that because, let's just be honest. From this past team, there were only two players that Alabama fans feel like, man, if we can have another year with him, man, would love to have this guy back in the season. And one guy was a bit more important than the other. Both guys happened to be Xavier McKinney and Anthony Jennings. And this is no offense to Raekwon Davis, who was a good player. This is no offense to Terrell Lewis. This is no offense to Trayvon Diggs or Shaheem Carter or Jarrett Maton. But, you as fans, honestly, you don't feel that way about those guys. You don't feel like, man, I would love for Bama to have Raekwon Davis another year. Man, I would love for Alabama to have Terrell Lewis another year. I would love for Trayvon Diggs or Shaheem or Jarrett Maton to be back another year. Although those guys were good players, you just don't feel like that because when the games mattered, right? when the lights were at their brightest, right, and we were looking for Raekwon Davis to just rip the quarterback's head completely off his body, he did not show up in those games against LSU and Auburn. He just did not show up in terms of the stat column. The same thing for Terrell Lewis. I mean, Terrell had some good moments. He had some big moments. But when the lights were at the brightest, you were looking for T. Lue, and it was like number 24 just did not want to walk outside the front door of his house. It's kind of the same thing when you talk about, a few other guys. Now, Jarrett Maiden surprisingly had a really big year, but, you really looked at Jennings and McKinney, and more so McKinney, because McKinney was a junior this past season. He was kind of torn about what was he going to do. He had a huge year this past year, and then the offseason, part of McKinney was like, I got a chance to be an instant multi-millionaire if I go to the draft, but I can come back to Alabama, be reunited with, my teammates, and have a chance to lead this defense to, a national championship as a starter. Of course, he chose the route to go pro, and Bama fans not disappointed in him for making that decision, but you still go, darn if we had X another year, like X with Jordan Battle. Whoo, that would be sexy. X with Jordan and Surtain, and man, if we had X back, that'd be really, really good. And, McKinney, he and Jennings were both named team captains after, this past season. Of course, unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, they were not able to have their handprint and their cleat print cemented at Denny Chimes. But when you even look at Nick Saban, Nick Saban appreciated Trayvon Diggs. He appreciated Jarrett Maiden. He appreciated Carter. He appreciated Raekwon Davis and Terrell Lewis. But when Nick Saban had press conferences, and I was at every single last one of those press conferences. When Nick had press conferences and the reporters would fix their mouth to say, Coach Saban, who was those players that you could depend on? Who were those players that you could rely on? Who were those players that you knew if you had to go to the well to make something happen, these players could make something happen? And every time Nick Saban would bring up Xavier McKinney and Anthony Jennings, he would be like, man, X is such an instinctive player. He's a great guy. He does a phenomenal job playing in the box. He can play the coverage lanes. Very, very passionate player, a guy that makes big plays for us. We appreciate X for everything that he does on this football field. Xavier McKinney is a class act guy. And then he'll go to Anthony Jennings and kind of say, the exact same things. Not saying that, Raekwon or those other guys weren't good players, but McKinney and Jennings will be the main two guys coming out of Coach Saban's mouth every single time. So you lost those two main guys to the draft. But, Bama fans, the reason why you can trust this defense, all of the players that you hold in high esteem, they're all back. Like, you look at this cupboard here, you're like, Dylan Moses is still here. Joshua McMillan is still here. LeBron Ray is still here. Christian Barmore is still here. Fidarian Mathis is still here. DJ Dale is still here. Why, Christian Harris, who had a great freshman year, he's going to be even better. He's still here. Shane Lee had some great moments, and he's still here. Patrick Surtain still here. Josh Jobe still here. Daniel Wright still here. Jordan Battle in the secondary still here. So all of the main pieces that were in the cupboard, they're still there. They're still there. They're incredibly hungry. And as I mentioned, on last week's show about how, those guys saw the last 2 years when I do not pay attention to what Coach Saban and this coaching staff is requiring me to do, when I'm not locked in, when I'm not focused, when I'm not doing my job, I see what happens. I see the domino effect. I see, Alabama losing football games, which it gets on the president's nerves, the chancellor's nerves, the AD's nerves. It gets on Saban's nerves, the coach's nerves. It gets on the players' nerves, and it gets on, of course, you, the fans, because you want a team to brag about. You want something to be excited about. You want something to be hyped up about. So when we're not paying attention and we lose, everybody is affected by it. So, Tide Nation, all of those players are back. Everybody that you have in high esteem is in that cupboard, and they're ready to go out there and do some big-time things. And with Pete Golding in front of this thing, year 2, Kirby Smart didn't win in year 1, won in year 2. Jeremy Pruitt didn't win in year 1, won in year 2. So he's in some really good company. You can go with a slot machine and you can bank on this Alabama defense and Pete Golding hitting in the upcoming season. Well, we go to our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We are just getting started on a Monday. Upon our return, we unpack your phone calls, your questions, your tweets, your thoughts, your chats, your concerns, and it's coming after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are locked and loaded, folks, on or from the break on a Monday. Hottest show on the streets. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith. The man, John Ivory, in the building, and it's your time. Bama Nation, 205-448-1358. But I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. And we lead things off with the man, the myth, the legend, the best caller in the game, Wayland. Wayland, what's going on, man? It's Monday. Hopefully you're doing well.
Hey, it's Monday. We on TDA Live. What more do I need to say? What's going on, Steve?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just have to start that first segment off, my man, with, Pete Golding's in some good company. It's year 2. Kirby won a title in year 2. So did Pruitt. So, Golding's in some good company. But then also, you got a great mixture of experience and young talent on this defense. So for the first time, you kind of go to your kitchen cabinet and you look inside that cupboard, and that cupboard is pretty full. It's not bare.
No, we've got to have confidence in the players we've got this year. A lot of players coming back from injury from last year, and that's what we've got to do. And we've got some different coaches down there. It's going to have different effects on people, I think, and we're just going to Alabama's defense should be back on target this year. In the secondary, we got to step up in the secondary and quit letting these wide receivers get behind us. Everything will be just fine, I think, Stephen.
I think the biggest thing with the secondary, Wayland, is just, trusting what you're doing out there on the field. I mean, Patrick Surtain, Josh Jobe, Jordan Battle, Daniel Ryder, whomever, the mixture of 5 guys that Coach Saban wants to put on the field. It's not that they don't know what they're being taught, because they do. I mean, they've played ball since they were all, youngsters. So they know what they were taught to do. It's just getting out there on the field and trusting that and not having that fear. It's you against the wide receiver. If you know that you're better than that wide receiver, own it. Play like you're better than that wide receiver.
Exactly, and I saw the poll you had on YouTube there with the great Oz and Irv Smith Jr. and I asked that question.
I had to throw that one out there, man. I had to do it.
Well, tight end, we've had a lot of good players at tight end at Alabama, but that's one position, we've had very few great players at. But Ozzie was one of them. He was the best of the best, and the next man behind him, as far as I'm concerned, is O.J. Howard, and then Irv Smith Jr. But you always go back to the OZ, man. He was the best of the best.
Ozzie was not only a phenomenal tight end, as Coach Bear Bryant called him one of the best he's ever been around, but Newsome also turned around and became a great GM in the NFL. He helped the Baltimore Ravens win a couple of Super Bowls there.
Exactly. He's done a lot. A lot of people have forgotten a lot of that. But we're going to try to get out of here, get some more people in the queue. We didn't do a phone, but we've done this. We're having a lot of trouble here in the United States. And, I don't understand why this is the greatest country in the world. Why we should be doing this, Stephen. I don't understand it.
I don't either way, and it just it comes down to, once again, us as a nation getting to an understanding of being able to hear everybody's viewpoint out. That's the big thing. Being able to hear everybody's viewpoint out, as a country and as a nation. And once we get to that point, then we're going to be very much better in finding those solutions. But as always, Wayne, and we appreciate you calling all the time. But you got your poem ready.
Well, yeah, we're going to do 46 and 10 Psalms. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." And what that means is the praises for God being a source of power and salvations in times of trouble, Stephen. That's what it boils down to. So that's what we've got to do in this country. We've got to come together, and just like the football teams have to come together, and we've got to be one people and one accord and one mind, and everything will be just fine. But we'll holler at y'all to get on Wednesday. Hello to everybody in the chat, and we'll be back on Wednesday. Thank you, Stephen. Bye-bye.
Absolutely appreciate waiting for that call there on Monday. We continue with another call in the queue. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's up, Stephen M? It's your boy Bama RLG. Just wanted to holler at you this evening. Talk a little Alabama football for a minute. What's up?
Man, I'm good, man. I cannot complain here, man. It's Monday. We're talking Bama football. So what's on your mind right now?
Well, really, you know what? I just wanted to, real quick, I've been kind of looking over the schedule for the 2020 season, kind of grouping it into games of 3 and breaking it down. Looked at USC earlier today, and I just really don't see any way that game's even close, to be honest. I don't think they have the horses on defense to slow Alabama down, and I expect the result to be much like it was the last time we played USC. Georgia State, week 2, again, not going to really be an exciting matchup. But then I looked at week 3 inside Bryant-Denny, and, when it comes to discussing Alabama football and the rivalries that we find ourselves involved in nowadays, I want all the smoke. So I'm sitting here looking at that week 3 matchup, and really I just wanted to call in and discuss it and let the Georgia fans that might be sneaking in listening to some of this know that week 3 is not going to look good for the Bulldogs.
It's going to be a good matchup, man, in week 3. I'm looking forward to it. But, my man, Ricky, we appreciate you calling in. We're going to get back to you at some point later on. We got a lot of people in the chat line right now in the call in, but we appreciate your thoughts, man.
Roll Tide.
Got another caller in the queue here on a Monday, excuse me. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing? This is Eric from Dallas, Georgia, Stephen.
How we doing there, Eric?
Doing fine, man. I just wanted to talk on your topic this evening, man. And I really do think in year 2, I think Pete's going to be fine. I think we just need to settle down, and I also believe that with the addition with Freddie Roach and another year with Sal, and of course the big addition with with all the defensive people that we have, I just really think we're going to be a lot better. Of course, we have Dylan Moses back there, and I just think I just really do feel, especially with the strength and conditioning, that addition. And another thing too is, we can't be so quick to just get rid of, after one bad season, a coach. You're gonna have to let him settle down. He's still young. And, not saying he's a Kirby Smart, but, I think Nick is going to let him, have the reins just a little bit. And I think it's just going to be a good season on that defensive side.
I believe the same thing. I think this is a situation where Pete Golding's a smart guy. He's an intelligent guy. The players love him. He's a very fine recruiter on the trail. It's just, last year he endured a rough situation. He had injuries. He had to kind of overcompensate some things, but a healthy roster, new strength and conditioning staff, as you mentioned, having Charlie Strong in here as well plays a big role. So I'm excited to see, what Pete Golding and this entire defense puts together. I think it's going to be a much improved group, but my man Eric, we appreciate the call, man. You keep listening to us.
Hey, thanks so much, Steven, man. You take care, man, and roll tide.
Appreciate that call there coming from Eric. We got another call here on a Monday as you guys lighten this up here. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, this is Ballard Sports Media. How you doing?
Doing good, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty well. I wanted to talk some Alabama football. On my own channel today, I made a video talking about Alabama and Georgia. And I guess it kind of came up because I was thinking about the Week 3 game, which I'm sure we can all agree is one of the most anticipated games of the 2020 season. And I wanted to get your thoughts because I kind of was thinking, and some people have said that Alabama and Georgia are somewhat of a rivalry. And I wanted to get your thoughts. Do you see Georgia as a rival of Alabama, or is it one of those? Because I know we don't play every year. It's not like a traditional type of rivalry, but when you look at recruiting with Kirby Smart and Nick Saban, there's kind of a battle there, I think.
It is a battle in recruiting, and then now with Scott Cochran joining forces with Kirby Smart, that adds a little bit more to that, rivalry due to, Cochran was at Alabama for 13 years, so it's you can definitely look at it. It may not be on the same level, I guess, as an Auburn or an Alabama LSU, but Alabama Georgia in terms of recruiting, rivalry in terms of Scott Cochran joining Kirby Smart and the familiar faces on both sides, rivalry. Week 3, September 19th will be an awesome matchup. I will more than likely be at Bryant-Denny if the good Lord willing and being there covering that game, so it'll be awesome. But Chris, we appreciate the call, man, and your thoughts. Keep listening to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for taking my call. Roll Tide.
We got another caller in the mix right now. You're live on In My Own Words on a Monday. What's going on?
Steven, what's up, man? This is Joe Cleese, man. Just want to call in and say, man, look, only thing I can say about this year's team, man, I just want them to be more consistent, especially on D. I think the D is going to be a whole lot better this year, man. Other than that, man, I don't have too much to say, man. I just want everybody to enjoy their Monday evening, man. Appreciate you taking my call, brother.
Absolutely, and I echo that. I mean, offensively, Alabama's going to be fine. You have all the offensive talent in the world. Defensively, as long as this group can remain consistent and not just consistent, but on top of being consistent, get some explosive plays, being able to, affect the quarterback some, get some sacks, create some turnovers, just have that continuity from front to back. As long as Alabama can have that continuity from the defensive line, the linebackers, to the secondary, and Coach Golden is confident in what he's calling, which I believe he will be, this group will be just fine, or better than fine, in the upcoming season. But absolutely, man. But I appreciate the call.
Hey, no problem. Thank you, man. Enjoy your evening.
You do the same as well. Well, folks, appreciate you guys lighting us up here in the call line. 205-448-1358. The number to call and let your voice be heard. 205-448-1358. We go to a break here on the show, but upon our return, we dive into one. Is this the moment for Ben Davis? Got some information that we're going to get into. Is this the year Ben Davis finally makes his mark? We'll talk about it after this.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry. Delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back in from the break here on the How to Show on the Streets in My Own Words. We had a call there in the line before we went to break there. Go ahead and call in the second call segment. So be sure to call in the second call segment, that for that viewer that had called in prior to us going to break or while we were in the break. But now as we're back into the action on the show here, we look at one Ben Davis. Is this the moment for Ben Davis, the former five-star out of Gordo High School in Alabama, to make his mark? I got a text today from a couple of sources here, or one main source, and a couple of others kind of co-signed it, but got a text in talking about how Ben Davis has been sort of talking to, people around him, people close to him about he feels really confident about him starting this season for the Crimson Tide as a redshirt senior at one of the two outside linebacker spots. And this is big because Ben has been through a whole lot. And, this is somebody that comes in the 2016 class. Everybody was really excited, high energy, pumped up, really glad to have him in Tuscaloosa, especially, seeing how his father, Wayne Davis, the all-time leader in total tackles, 327. And people just felt like Ben was going to come in, pick up where his dad left off, keep the legacy going, keep the thing running. And he's had, some rough patches. Being 2016, he redshirted his initial freshman year, and then 2017 and 2018 combined, he played in about 2 to 3 games. And then last year, for the first time, he actually got in a bit more action. He played in 11 games in 2019. He had 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack. But it felt like things finally started to kind of click and come together for him mentally as well as physically against Mississippi State last year. And I remember that game, State was losing in that matchup. Alabama was having success offensively and defensively. It was playing, solid football. And Tommy Stevens was at quarterback. And I remember Stevens takes the snap out of the gun. He drops back. All of a sudden, I see this torpedo knifing through the B gap and just completely destroys Tommy Stevens on the ground. And all of a sudden, I see the guy get up, and he's wearing number 1. It was Ben Davis, and he was jumping around, hopping around, excited like he was a child in a candy store finally getting his first taste of Reese's Cup. I mean, excited about it. I mean, he was genuinely happy about it. And I remember Jarrett Maiden, former Alabama safety of whom came in the same class as Davis, he spoke on the hit that Ben had. You could literally hear, like an earthquake, hear the pads popping on that hit. And when Maiden heard it, he instantly comes around wondering, okay, who made that sack? Where did that sound come from? And when he found out who it was, he was overjoyed. Like, he couldn't have been any more proud of that moment for Ben. And it was kind of that moment to let him know, you can do this. Like, you can play this game. Like, you can play at this level. Like, when you have a work ethic and you lock in mentally and you finally do all the things, the dirty work to go around with you having the physical talent, and you put it together on the field, something special can happen. Something special is bound, something positive is bound to happen. And here's a young man that has seen about 3 to 4 to 5 recruiting classes come in after him, and guys being packed on top of him, and a revolving door at linebacker where he's seen guys come in and out. He has seen players get drafted between the 2016 and 2017 recruiting classes. 7 different players on the defensive side of the football got drafted, including 2 linebackers in Mack Wilson and Terrell Lewis. I mean, on top of that, Ben has also seen where he's saw guys to enter the transfer portal, and people in college football, they don't like the term 5-star bust, especially in Alabama football. Alabama fans do not like the term 5-star bust because you see these guys in high school. You see these guys, they're larger than life. They perform well. They play well. They're monsters. They get these star ratings, and especially when they get the 5-star, fans are rushing to the TV, they're rushing to the internet, and they're going, wow, he's really good. He's really talented. He's really dynamic. I wish the best for him. I hope the best for him. I want the best for him. And, when those guys don't pan out and when they're labeled as a bust, Bama fans, you guys get very hurt. You guys get sad. You guys get upset. I mean, we look back at Star Jackson. We look back at Phillip Sims. We look back at Blake Barnett. And even at times we look at Antonio Alfano and Ayabi Anoma, and we just go, why? Why did it not work? I mean, they were a 5-star. They were talented. They were gifted. They had all the tools. They had all the traits. Why did it not work? Is there something wrong with the coaching staff? Is there something wrong over here? Is there something wrong over there? Why did these guys not pick it up? Like, you have a lot of fans that get really concerned because they want to see every 5-star make it. They want to see every 5-star ball. They want to see every 5-star have, some type of success. And for Ben, he's looking square in the face of a situation where he is getting what not a lot of people get. He could have gone to the transfer portal. He could have said, screw it, forget it, I'm done, I'm out of here. Obviously, the guys are coming in. They're talking about all of these freshmen over me. I've seen guys get drafted. I haven't had my moment yet. And despite all that has happened with Ben, some of it he brought on himself. But despite all that's happened to Ben in terms of football, he looks upright. The door is not closed. The door is not even cracked. It's darn near wide open. It's wide open because for the first time at that outside linebacker position, there's not much experience, if any, at all. Ben Davis is the oldest guy in the room. Think about that for a moment. Just let that marinate around the cerebellum right quick. Ben is the oldest guy in the room. Redshirt senior, 6'3", 243 pounds. Chris Allen has some game experience, but not all that much, just 16 games. You look at King Wakuda, he played some last season, but not all that much. Kevin Harris II, same deal. Jurassic Park, same deal. And though you've got, some freshmen that fans are very excited about. I mean, people are antsy to see Will Anderson. They're antsy to see Drew Sanders. They're antsy to see Chris Broswell. They're antsy to see Quandarius Robinson. So there are some freshmen that people are excited about. But Ben Davis, for the first time, despite all that's happened to him, he looks in front of him and he goes, my God, I have a chance. Despite all that's happened to me, there's still hope. Like, I can still capitalize on a season. There's potential for Ben Davis to go out here in 2020, potentially start, and have a year where maybe he can pick up 50 tackles. Maybe he can pick up, 5 to 6 tackles for loss. Maybe he can have 4 to 5 sacks. Maybe he can have, 5 to 6 quarterback hurries. Maybe he can produce some numbers that at the end of the day, though it didn't start off great, he can possibly end his career maybe getting picked up by an NFL team at the next level. Maybe. There's a shot. There's opportunity. Like, you've had some folks that have just written Ben Davis off the face of the earth. He's a bum. He's a bust. He's done. Scrap him. Put a fork in him. That goose is cooked. You can't do it no more. And then you have other fans going, I still believe in you, Ben. Still believe in you, BD. Still believe it. Still believe in you, Uno. It's just taking him some time. It's just taking him a moment. He's just trying to find himself as a player, as a person. There's still a shot. I'm not giving up on Ben Davis. And despite all that's happened, people, Ben Davis is looking at this entire situation like, I've got a chance. I've got a chance. I've seen Anthony Jennings come and go. I've seen Terrell Lewis come and go. I've seen Tim Williams come and go. I've seen Ryan Anderson come and go. Christian Miller, Jamie Mosley. I've seen so many guys that taught me the game, so to speak, come and go. I've even seen Mac Wilson, the brother that came in here with me, come and go. And there is still an opportunity. There's still an opportunity for me to go out here in this upcoming season, have my say, and put together a season where I can leave the last impression in the minds of fans going, you know what? It was tough on Ben. It was hard on Davis. It wasn't easy, but the young man didn't quit. The young man stuck to it. The young man kept fighting. And what do you know? He has his swan song moment, and it's a great one for Ben Davis. So the young man very confident that he's going to have an opportunity to start this year at one of the two outside linebacker positions. He's been talking about it thus far in the offseason. We'll see what happens. Still holding out hope for BD. We'll see what happens. We take our next break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, though, folks. When we come back, we unpack more of your phone calls, your thoughts, your questions, your opinions right after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back on you, Crimson Tide Nation, 205-448-1358. And I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard on the network, 205-448-1358. We take our next caller right now. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Hey, this is Mike from Kentucky, Steve. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, doing well, man. Glad to have you back in here.
Yeah, I've been watching quite a bit of film on this Wake Forest transfer quarterback that's going to be playing for Georgia next year. He's pretty darn good. I threw out the Clemson game because, let's face it, that's a Brent Venables defense. He's probably the best coordinator in the country at disguising pass coverages. But, Georgia's going to be inexperienced on the offensive line, but they're going to put that kid in a run-pass option offense. He's going to be hard to get off the field. You don't want to be turning the ball over on this kid and giving him a short field. I'm actually pretty impressed about him. I think Alabama's going to have the firepower on offense to outscore Georgia, but that's not going to be an easy game by any means, Steve.
It's not going to be an easy game. Georgia's going to be a tough test regardless. It just comes down defensively to, and you mentioned the guy, Jamie Newman, very athletic. It comes down to discipline, first off, by the defensive ends. Barmore and LeBron Ray, you got to be disciplined. DJ Dale up the middle has got to be disciplined, and it's discipline, from the linebackers, knowing what gap to go into, and more importantly, finding ways to make him uncomfortable. Of course, the fans inside Bryant Denny will do that, but in terms of the players, just find a way to make the young man uncomfortable.
Yeah, Sinceri's going to have his outside linebackers on point. Or that game could be closer than I'd like to see it. I'm definitely gonna be looking for them to use him. He'll be used he can drop back and sling the ball pretty darn good, as a drop back passer. But I think due to the offensive line, they're going to use him with a moving pocket to kind of offset for that inexperience they're going to have early in the year up front. I think it's going to be a more interesting game than people think, but I think Bama will get the win. Roll Tide, brother. You have a great day.
Appreciate it, Mike from Kentucky, dropping a line here, helping us out on this show. But we have another call in the queue on a Monday. You guys lighten us up. What's going on? You're on In My Own Words.
Hey, how you doing today, man? I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia, man.
All right, man. What's going on?
All right, man. I'm just calling in today, man. I just want to talk a little bit about the starting linebackers. I really feel comfortable about Christian Lee and Dylan Moses starting. That's really who I want to see start. I feel like Christian Lee is young. He's pretty big, fast, and pretty agile. And he's pretty elusive, and he played running back in high school. I'm pretty comfortable with him. I like Shane Lee in the dime package. He's pretty defensive and he's kind of stiff in the legs. But I really hope that Pete Golden starts Christian Lee and Dylan Moses. And I hope he puts Jordan Battles and safety.
I was saying Pete Golden's going to start Christian Harris and Dylan Moses. Christian Harris and Dylan Moses are both going to start. I see in that dime package is going to be Ala Cajo. Cajo is going to start in that dime. I mean, Shane Lee is going to get some work in. I know, Dr. Ray is going to be working with him on, getting his speed in order, getting his hip motion, the ability to flip his hips in order, more fluid in that regard. But I feel like the starting two will be Dylan Moses, Christian Harris, and then in that dime look, look for Ala Cajo to really, make his name right there.
Mm-hmm. That was my main question right there. I mean, I love Ben Davis. I've been watching Ben Davis since high school. I know his dad is a legend, and I hope for the best for the guy, but I feel like those young freshmen coming in are just mad, they're hungry, and they're just the dogs. Will Anderson, Twitch, sort of like the Terrell Lewis. Well, this season I said Terrell Lewis, but I meant the other guy. But he's gone now, but I really like Will Anderson and Drew Sanders.
We're going to see, man. It's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a fun time in summer practice once they get that started. I can't wait for fall camp. But, man, we appreciate the call, man. Keep vibing with us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir.
Guys, lighten us up here on the call line. But we go to an interesting topic here on the show, and I got this question, John, from a fan on over the weekend, and the fan was asking how many night games could Alabama get this year? Because Alabama did not have a lot of night games this past season. The first night game came against Tennessee where, the Tide got to unveil the LED lighting feature inside Bryant-Denny. I mean, that thing is cool. John, have you ever seen that before?
You know what? I haven't got to go to any night games yet. I saw it on TV, though.
John, you know what? We're putting this on the poll. We're getting John some tickets. We're getting John some tickets so John can get to these night games to see this because this is gorgeous. That LED light feature is amazing. But in terms of this season, I think there's potential for a couple of night games. The first one has to be Georgia. I mean, Alabama, Georgia off the bat, week 3 in Bryant-Denny must be a night game because you look at the this could be the prelude to the SEC championship. This could be a prelude to we could potentially maybe see both of these two teams in the college football playoff, maybe. And with the familiarity that surrounds both programs, having that as a night game would be a good one. But we go to another call in the queue. You're live here on In My Own Words. What's going on a Monday?
Hi.
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing.
Awesome. Hey,
we were just calling to check in.
We appreciate the love there, Cleo. Hey, continue doing your thing. Appreciate it.
And Amanda, too.
Amanda done called, too?
Hi.
You know what? I feel the love today. I got two of my favorite people that called in here. Hey, appreciate y'all. Y'all continue to listen to us.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right. We're getting love here on this show. But, JP, back to the idea at hand here. Georgia, night game. Definite night game there for Georgia, in my opinion. Another game that could be a night game, Texas A&M. But it comes down to which version of the Aggies do we see, right? Do we see a Jimbo Fisher that can really get Kellen Mond playing above what we have seen him play? And can A&M's defense be even better? Can it work on being even better this year? So I look at, A&M. If they come in against Alabama undefeated, or if they come in with one loss, that's potentially a night game. And of course, Auburn, depending on how Gus Malzahn has the Tigers coming in, how much better does Bo Nix look? Does Auburn allow the offensive coordinator to call the plays? We know what Kevin Steele brings defensively. That could maybe be a night game, how the Tigers could look there. And at number 4, Mississippi State, kind of the same deal. So the one game definitely a night game is Georgia. If Georgia's not a night game, we got problems. But the 3 possibilities, A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State, just depending on how do these 2 teams enter that week of the matchup against the Crimson Tide. But we take another break here, folks, on the show. Don't touch that dial. Appreciate everybody that's been lighting us up in the call-in line and also the YouTube chat line as well. Upon our return, we get into the quarterback race for Alabama. How much can Bryce Young push? How big will his push be? Can Mac Jones fend off the talented freshman? We discuss it after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
And we are back in, folks. Hottest show on the streets here. Best form of Crimson Tide football, news, notes, and information in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. As always, got the man John Ivory rocking and rolling here with me, and we appreciate you, the Alabama football fan base, for lighting us up this entire day. But we get into now the Alabama quarterback race. How effective, how efficient will Bryce Young push? Now, Bryce, as we all know, coming in from modern day high school, Santa Ana, California, had a tremendous high school career. Over 13,000 passing yards, over 174 total touchdowns, 152 of those passing. A guy that was a 5-star quarterback, a guy that was a state champion in high school. Just every single accolade you can imagine, Bryce Young was able to snatch that and more, getting things done. And you as U.S. fans, very excited to see what this young man can do. Me and the media want to see what he is made of in terms of the future of Alabama football, where that is concerned. He's added some weight. He's now 6 feet, 190 pounds now. And when he got to, Alabama, on June 1st to work out with some of the wide receivers, the offensive line, and other players, starting to kind of build that chemistry and that camaraderie. He's going to get on the field. Bryce Young is going to get on the field. He is going to have some moments that will wow fans, that will excite fans, that will entertain fans. I'm not going to sit there and say he will not have those moments, because he absolutely will have those moments. And in a situation where Mac Jones just completely sort of kind of falls apart, Nick Saban will have no problem going to Young just due to he's done this before, with Tua Tagovailoa in the, 2017 season, the 2018, national championship game. But when I look at Mac Jones here, Mac Jones is just as competitive as Bryce Young is. And, here's a guy right here that you go back and you look at last season. You go back and you look at last season where, Mac is concerned, and he played in 12 games. He started in 4 of those 12 games. Now, I took out the Western Carolina game because that's a gimme game. That's an easy game. You're supposed to win that game. So I looked at Mac Jones' 3 starts against defenses that actually had a pulse, and that was Arkansas, Michigan, and Auburn. And I threw in some names here of guys that started the entire season or started in more games than Jones did. So you have Trevor Lawrence of Clemson, Justin Fields of Ohio State, Joe Burrow of LSU, Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama, Justin Herbert of Oregon, and Jalen Hurts of Oklahoma. And when you look at these names here, starting this thing off with QBR, quarterback rating, Joe Burrow had the highest QBR of all of these guys at 94.9, highest in the SEC, highest in the country. Tua came behind him at 94.8. You had Justin Fields, 92.1, Jalen Hurts, 89.7, Trevor Lawrence, 87.3, and then, of course, Justin Herbert at 74.7. But when I looked at Mac Jones, against Arkansas, he had a quarterback rating of nearly 92, 91.9. Against Auburn, had a rating of near 90, 89.8. And against Michigan, 95.3. So adding those up, dividing by 3, he has an average quarterback rating of 92.3. 92.3 for Mac Jones in 3 games here. So in 3 games he started in, against quarterbacks that played a full season, started a full season, or started more games than Jones did, Jones had the 3rd highest QBR in the SEC behind only Burrow and Tua. And then he had the 3rd highest QBR in the country behind just Burrow and Tua. And along with that, you look at his passer rating. Jones's passer rating was 197.5, 3rd highest passer rating in the SEC, 3rd highest passer rating in the country. Against the teams that, of course, Jones played against, the 3 teams I've mentioned, Arkansas, Auburn, and Michigan. Combined, he had near 1,000 yards passing, 994. He had 10 touchdown passes to 2 picks, a great ratio. Had a completion percentage of 70.8. You don't see many NFL quarterbacks hitting at that type of clip. He was only sacked 1 time a season ago. The offensive line did a banged-up good job. And in terms of, these 3 teams that had players on their defensive fronts to get drafted, 7 players combined from those 3 teams had players to make an NFL roster, and Mac Jones tore those guys completely apart. So I know stats don't tell everything. I know stats don't mean everything, but they do give a pretty vivid picture. And just judging from these numbers, it just looks like, judging from these numbers, Mac Jones has the capability. He has the potential. He has the wherewithal to take this team, right, and lead this team to, a national championship and win that national championship. Bryce Young is going to push, don't get me wrong. He is going to get into this rotation, as he's already in the rotation. He's going to make everybody around him better. He's going to get into games, he's going to wow people. I even feel like there may be a game that he starts in, and it could be against UT Martin, as Alabama could rest the starters, put Bryce Young on the field against UT Martin, just see, how he's able to maneuver and do in that matchup right there. But if there was to come a situation where, a Mac Jones would fall completely off the face of the map like Space Jams, then we could kind of see, having Bryce Young being thrust out there. But as of right now, I think week 1 of the college football season, Bryce plays, but Mac Jones starts week 1. He hasn't given people a reason to not trust his ability to start week 1 of the season. But as always, ladies and gentlemen, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage on the Crimson Tide. You can get this from downloading the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can do it from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you just so happen to have the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you covered on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or Overcast.fm. We got you covered. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will return on Wednesday talking Crimson Tide football. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children do those things legitimately now to not be bored. Get those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, it's been in my own words.